Hi, how are you all? Welcome back to this new class. And we are still dealing with agriculture. It's a long chapter because agriculture is one of the major occupation of our country. More than 66% of the people are working in agriculture, and therefore we have a lot to discuss about it. It is one of the areas where more than 50% of the Indian people are employed and so on. So in today's class, let us see about the contribution of agriculture towards the national economy and the employment and the output. So how much it is contributing for the growth of the country, how much employment it is providing, and what is the output. Output means the production. How much is the agriculture production in our country? These are the things that we are going to learn in today's class. You can take your textbook page number 44. 44. So agriculture has been the backbone of the Indian economy, though its share in the gross domestic product has registered a declining trend from 1951 onwards. In 2010-11, about 52% of the total workforce was employed by the farm sector, which makes more than half of the Indian population dependent on agriculture for sustenance. So, we say agriculture is the backbone of our Indian economy. Indian economy is mainly depending on the agriculture. Though its share in the gross domestic product has been registered a declining trend from 1951 onwards. So, if you check year by year, from 1951 years onwards, we realize the contribution of the agriculture towards the economic growth of the country is declining. So contribution is coming more from other sectors like tertiary sector and secondary sector, and from the primary sector, that is agriculture, it is becoming less and less. Let's see what is wrong. And in 2010-11, about 52% of the total workforce was employed in the agriculture sector or farm sector, and that shows more than half of the Indian population is working in agriculture sector. The job is provided to more than half of the Indian population from where? From the agriculture sector. And the declining share of the agriculture in the GDP is a matter of serious concern, because any decline and stagnation in agriculture will lead to the decline in other spheres of the economy, having wider implications for society. So we said in the beginning that though more than 50% of the people are working in the agriculture sector, the contribution to the national economy or the national growth or GDP, gross domestic product, it is less, becoming less and less from agriculture sector. So more people are working there in the agriculture field, but their contribution is becoming less and less. So that is something that is worrying the Indian government, because so many people are employed there, but they are not contributing much. Their contribution is becoming less and less. So that is a serious concern. And considering the importance of agriculture in India, the government of India made concerted efforts to modernize agriculture. So when government realized that the contribution from the agriculture sector is becoming less and less, they realized something more to be done. So they decided to modernize the agriculture sector. And establishment of Indian Council of Agriculture Research, that is ICAR, agriculture universities, veterinary services, and animal breeding centers, horticulture development, research and development in the field of meteorology and weather forecast, etc., were given priority for improving Indian agriculture. So apart from this, improving the rural infrastructure was also considered essential for the same. So, government decided to do something to modernize the agriculture sector, and therefore government formed so many societies, universities and so on. So the society that was formed was ICAR, that is Council of Agricultural Research. Then started agriculture universities, people to go and learn and study. Instead of studying in other subjects, let them choose agricultural subjects, learn how to cultivate, what are the methods to cultivate and so. So universities will provide degrees, BA, MA and so we can do in agricultural subjects like zoology and so on. And government also started animal breeding centers. So in order to get high breed of the animals, the centers were started. Then horticulture development. In order to develop the fruits, different fruits, the government started development centers and giving them new seeds and so on. Then all these were given. Then the field of meteorology also, the weather forecast, the government introduced centers or appointed people, qualified people to forecast the weather, whether there is going to be cyclone or not, whether there is going to be dry weather or wet weather, rain or not. All these are going to be predicted so that the farmers can plan out their annual programs, their cultivation accordingly. So government was doing everything that is there in their power in order to help the farmers so that they will produce well and the national economy will grow higher and higher. Then from table 4.1, it is clear that though the GDP growth rate is increasing over the years, it is not generating sufficient employment opportunities in the country. So you can see there is a table given here 4.1. What are the things said in this? It is speaking about three sectors, that is agriculture sector, industrial sector and services, that is tertiary sector. So how much are they contributing? So it is given for different years in 2002 to 2007, then 2007 to 2012 and 2012 to 2017. Up to 17 it is given how much is the GDP growth rate. So in the year 2002 to 7, agriculture contribution was 1.7. Then after 5 years it increased to 3.2. The government introduced modern methods of cultivation and so the contribution from the agriculture sector was improved. Then after 5 years again it was improved to 4 and 4.2. So the slight improvement is there. But see the second sector, industry sector, that is 8.3, then 7.4, it went down a little bit, then again it was increased 9.6 and 10.9. So there is improvement, so much higher than the agriculture sector. Then in the service sector also 9 points. Then the 2007 to 12 it became 10. And the next 5 years also it became 10. So here we find the GDP growth was only 7.2. The total GDP growth was 7.2 and the industry is contributing more than the national GDP and the services also contributing more than the national, but the agriculture sector is much below. So if agriculture sector also were to able to produce this 8 plus, then our GDP would have been much higher than this. The economic growth would have been much higher than this. The same way here, everywhere comparing to the industry sector and the service sector, the agriculture sector is lagging behind. So there is slight improvement is there, but that is not enough. We have to always remember more than 50% of the people are working in the agriculture sector. So where more people are working, the income is less. Where less people are working, income is more. So it should be the opposite. So according to the number of people working in the agriculture sector, they should be able to increase the income also accordingly. Then our GDP growth will be much more faster and our country's growth will be much more higher. Then you can see, so the growth rate in agriculture is decelerating, and which is an alarming situation. So the growth rate in agriculture is decelerating. Decelerating means opposite of accelerating. So instead of speeding up, it is slowing down. So it is really a disappointing factor, and it is a very dangerous situation. Today, Indian farmers are facing a big challenge from international competition, and our government is going ahead with reduction in the public investment in agriculture sector, particularly in irrigation, power, rural roads, market and mechanization. So now the Indian farmers are facing a lot of competition from the foreign traders, the foreign agricultural farmers. So instead of producing here, many are importing from other countries, from our neighboring countries. They are bringing vegetables, they are bringing corns and so on. So Indian farmers are affected by that. People are all going and buying what is imported from other countries. So government has to take extra care to support these farmers, to protect these farmers, so that their hard work is not going in vain. And if they work hard and produce the grain and the vegetables and the fruits, the people are going and buying from other countries, then who will buy what is produced here? The farmers will get discouraged, their products will be wasted, nobody will buy, they will not get money, and so they will be disappointed and they may stop working. So that is what is happening in our country. Therefore government has brought some control that there is no foreign investment. They have reduced the foreign investment in irrigation, in the power sector, in the rural roads and market and so on. So in all that, foreign investment will be reduced. So we have to make our own. Instead of buying machines and irrigation and electricity, everything from foreign countries, try to produce with our own. Then we will be able to manage, because when we use these foreign things, the cost is going up, the expense is going up, and that will affect the price of the things. If the expense is high, then the price of the things also will be high. Then people think about buying from outside, that is cheaper, so our farmers will be affected and so on. Then subsidy on fertilizers is decreased, leading to increase in the cost of production. Then what did government do? Government also reduced the subsidy for buying fertilizers. Government used to give fertilizers with a reduced price. That also government stopped. Then the price was increased again. The farmers had to pay full money and buy the fertilizer, and that was causing increase in the price of the things. Moreover, reduction in import duties on agriculture products have proved detrimental to agriculture in the economy. And sometimes governments reduce the tax in import. So import tax was reduced, then more and more people were going and buying from outside, importing from outside country. Then the farmers were affected again, because the import duty is less means the price of the things also will be less. Then all will go and buy that one. Will reduce this buying from our own farmers. That way farmers were affected again. And farmers are withdrawing their investment from agriculture, causing a downfall in the employment in agriculture. So because their life is not secure, farmers are afraid to invest, afraid to go and cultivate. They are not sure after cultivation the people will buy or not, because some of the government policies are very detrimental. They are reducing the subsidy of the fertilizers, reducing the import tax from outside, and all that will affect the life of the farmers. Nobody will be willing to buy their products and so that should not happen. So government has to take some extra care in order to protect the farmers of our country. Therefore the government has to come forward. Now let's see about our food security. What is the government doing in order to secure the food security? food security. So you know that food is a basic need and every citizen of the country should have access to food which provides minimum nutritional level. So it is the right of every person to have the minimum nutritional level food. Even if we don't get high nutritional level, at least minimum nutritional level food should be available to the people. Then if any segment of our population does not have this access, that segment suffers from lack of food security. The number of people who do not have food security is disproportionately large in some regions of our country, particularly in economically less developed states with higher incidence of poverty. So if you go through India, we find that those states that are poor, they are suffering from malnutrition. They are not able to get that food which is at least providing the minimum level of nutrition. So they are not able to get that food, the sufficient food for them, and therefore a lot of states where there is a lack of food, they are suffering from malnutrition. They are poor, therefore they cannot buy the food. And the number of people who do not have food security is disproportionately large in some areas. Some areas or some states like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, and so the number of poor people are very high and they are suffering from malnutrition. The remote areas of the country are more prone to natural disasters and uncertain food supply. So the areas that are very remote, interior part of the country, sometimes there is natural disasters, maybe landslides, road is blocked, they cannot get the food and so on. So they are suffering from this food supply. And in order to ensure the availability of food to all sections of society, our government carefully designed the National Food Security System. It consists of two components, that is buffer stock and public distribution system. So in order to avoid this lack of food security, the government introduced two programs. One is buffer stock and another one is PDS, public distribution system. Let's see what is this buffer stock and PDS. PDS means public distribution system. So as you know, PDS is a program which provides food grains and other essential commodities at subsidized prices in rural and urban areas. So PDS is a system started by government that government will distribute the food grains to the people, the essential food grains, rice, some oil, wheat, atta, and so on. So that will be distributed at a subsidized rate. Subsidized means reduced rate. So the price will be much cheaper than that is of the outside shop. In the PDS shop or the fair price shop or a ration shop, it is known by different names. So there the price will be much lower than the outside. So poor people will not be able to go and buy from the shop. So they will be starving. So government has introduced in the rural areas or even in the urban areas, the PDS shops are open and the food grains are supplied to the people at a lower price. Then India's food security policy has a primary objective to ensure availability of food grains to the common people at an affordable price. So government makes sure that the food is available to the common people at a low price, affordable price. It has enabled the poor to have access to food. The focus of the policy is on growth in agricultural production and on fixing the support price for the procurement of wheat and rice, the maintaining their stocks, And Food Corporation of India, that is FCI, is responsible for procuring the stock food grains, whereas distribution is ensured by public distribution system. So government has introduced or started a corporation that is called Food Corporation of India. So they have to go and collect the food, the extra grain from farmers. So some of the areas farmers will be working very hard and there will be extra production. So government will go and buy that extra grain from the people and they will store up in a godown called FCI. FCI has got its own godowns. They will stock there. Afterwards, when the dry season comes and the people are starving, this food grain that is stored in the FCI godown will be distributed to this PDS shops. It will be distributed there. So government will stock up, that's called buffer stock, from the farmers. He will collect what is extra produced by the farmers will be collected by the government and will be creating the buffer stock, and afterwards it will be given to the PDS in order to divide to the poor people. So Food Corporation of India is responsible for procuring and stocking food grains. So whose duty is to collect the buffer stock? FCI. The Food Corporation of India, it is their duty to go and collect the food grains from the farmers, big farmers, and stock in the FCI. They have their godown and they will stock up in their godown and then it will be given to the shops. The FCI procures food grains from farmers at the government announced minimum support price. So in the early class we said that in order to support the farmers, government will fix a price. Even before they cultivate, government will say, this year I will pay you this much money for your food grains. So farmers know how much they are going to get. There is no worry, there is no tension. If the government does not fix a price, then sometimes the price can be very low according to the availability of things in the market. Sometimes it can be very high. So very often it will be very low and the farmers will be at a loss. So when government is fixing a minimum rate, it will not go below that. So farmers know we are not going to lose. We may not get much high profit, but we may not lose. So accordingly the farmers can gain that confidence and they can cultivate more and produce more things. So that is an advantage for the farmers. So MSP means minimum support price. That's the price fixed by the government to offer to the farmers for buying the grain from them. Then the government used to provide subsidies on agriculture inputs such as fertilizers, power and water. So government also supports the farmers by giving subsidies on fertilizers. Fertilizers will be given at a reduced price. Subsidy means reduced price. Then also the power will be supplied. Electricity power will be supplied at a lower rate. They will not be charged for the power that they use. They are given subsidy power. And also water. So if they use water or if they use electricity, they will not be charged full amount. They will be given discount. These subsidies have now reached unsustainable levels and have also led to a large scale inefficiencies in the use of these scarce inputs. So these subsidies have now reached unsustainable levels. So government has been giving and giving, reducing and reducing. Now it has become a very unsustainable. Government is not able to manage. So much is given to the farmers, but they are unable to come up with a high production. Therefore, government is finding difficult to continue to give them this discount. An excessive and imprudent use of fertilizers and water has led to waterlogging, salinity, and depletion of essential micronutrients in the soil. So some of the farmers are not educated properly. They do not know properly to cultivate. Since government is giving discount rate fertilizer, they go on put plenty of fertilizers there, and too much using of fertilizers the land is getting spoiled, and the government is giving water at a discount, therefore they pour plenty of water, and the water is getting stagnant there, and the soil is getting spoiled. The soil is filled with salinity. Salinity means saltiness. So in the water there is a lot of salt is there, and the salt is entering into the soil, and the soil is getting spoiled. So the farmers, that they lack knowledge, that is the problem. They lack proper knowledge, therefore they are not able to cultivate properly. They are creating a lot of misuse. What the government is giving freely or with the concession, instead of using it properly, maybe because of their lack of knowledge, lack of understanding, lack of education, they are misusing it and spoiling the government's initiative. Then this high MSP subsidies in input and committed FCI purchases have distorted the cropping pattern. So this MSP that government used to give is very high. In order to help the farmers, government used to fix the minimum price, minimum support price very high. That also became a burden for the government, and thus distorted the cropping pattern. So in order to sell it to the government, people also have changed the cropping pattern. And wheat and paddy crops are being grown more for the MSP they get. So those who are cultivating wheat and paddy, they get more MSP. And Punjab and Haryana are foremost examples. So the farmers in Punjab and Haryana, they are the one cultivating more rice and more wheat. Therefore, they receive more MSP than other farmers. And this has also created a serious imbalance in intercrop parities. So, since government is giving them more for the rice and wheat, more people are cultivating only this wheat and rice. They are not cultivating other cereals like potatoes, mutton, groundnut, all those things they have abandoned. So that way it is creating a lot of imbalances. So the farmers should realize that what is according to the season, Rabi season, Kharif season, Zaid season, according to different seasons they should cultivate the crops that are proper. But they are not thinking about that. Instead of thinking about cultivating different items, they wanted to get more money from the government, and so they are cultivating only wheat and rice, and other things are left abandoned. So that is also causing a lot of imbalance in the production of agriculture things. So government need to take proper care so that these things will be taken care, and the people will be able to produce the right things in the right time, so that the food security of the country, of the people will be maintained. Then each district and block can be made self-sufficient in food grain production if government provides proper agriculture infrastructure, credit linkage, and also encourages the use of latest techniques. So the government has to do something more in order to make every district self-sufficient. So people in that district, they should cultivate what is needed for them. All the things that they need, they should cultivate from there itself, in their area itself. That way each district can gain food security. So what are the things expected from the government? So government has to provide proper infrastructure, agricultural infrastructure, certain offices, certain buildings for storing the grain, and extra grain is produced means they should have a certain place, safe place for storing, otherwise it may be spoiled due to bad weather, or rats and other creatures may eat up, and so on. So government has to do some infrastructure. Then credit linkage should be there, credit should be given, loan should be given to the farmers, and also encourage the use of latest techniques. So government also should encourage the farmers to use the latest technique. They should not go along with the traditional methods for a long time. Instead they should start using modern techniques so that they will be able to produce more. And instead of concentrating only on rice or wheat, the food crops with a better growth potential in that particular area must be encouraged. So farmers were looking for more money, therefore they are cultivating only wheat and rice. So instead, farmers should be encouraged. Your area is good for production of this, maybe potato, then you cultivate potato. Your soil is good for maybe groundnut, so cultivate groundnut. Or your area may be good for oil seeds, so cultivate oil seeds. So government should allot different things to different people according to the quality of the soil, according to the climate. Otherwise, government gave them simply freedom, and everybody was trying to cultivate only rice and wheat, and other things were not available in the country. Then we had to go and buy from foreign countries those things. That was defeating, the self-defeating. So government should take initiative and control the people, direct the people, what they should do, how they should do, and so on. Then creation of necessary infrastructure like irrigation facilities, availability of electricity, etc. may also attract private investments in agriculture. So government also should create some more infrastructure, maybe how to build dams to help the farmers for irrigation. So bring or build dams so that people can get water, or there should be availability of electricity. From the dam they should be able to produce electricity. So in these cases, government can also attract private investment. So if the government does not have enough money to make dams and produce electricity, they can also call private people, come and help, come and put investment in this and take part in this development. So government can also call the help of the private sector. That way the agriculture sector in our country will grow. So it is up to the government to take initiative and give proper guidelines and control the farmers, direct the farmers, so that the hard work they put in, it will be maximum, and it will be providing better GDP for the country, and in turn the GDP of the country, the economy of the country will grow. So we shall wind up today. In the next class, we will continue with the same topic. The topic is not at over. We will continue with the food security. The next class, we shall learn that way. So thank you. Have a nice day.